selling, and there's a lot of short sales and foreclosures and pretty distressed market out there. Well, I'm hoping in the next few minutes to share with you that that's not really the case, and that actually homes are selling every day.
Oh, good. That's
Okay.
good news, isn't it?
So step 2 is actually establishing the value of your home. So I've done a complete market analysis to present to you so that we can zone in on the price of your home.
Great.
Step 3 is setting the right price, and I'm sure that you'll agree that that's a very critical step in the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Step 4 would be calculating your bottom line. I want you to know what your expenses will be so that you have a really good idea of what you're gonna walk away with to go and buy that North Carolina property.
That's really important to us.
Okay, great. Step 5 is preparing your home for sale. Now, should we decide to go into business together, I'm gonna be doing another complete walkthrough with you, a little bit different one this time, because I wanna give you some tips and some tricks of things that can actually increase the value of your home even more.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll get to that point where we can do that walkthrough. Step 6 is actually advertising and marketing, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details about advertising and marketing for the fear of boring you. Suffice to say that we are very aggressive with internet marketing. That's where we know that all of the buyers and realtors actually start their searches, so we do put our money where it counts. Step 7 is qualifying the buyer, and that's when we start receiving your offers, and quite frankly, that's where our work begins. We're going to be coordinating your appraisals, helping you with negotiations, setting up inspections, hiring your title companies, coordinating with all of the parties, the other real estate agents, the title companies, the lenders. We will actually review your closing statement, review all of your disclosures and your addendums till we get to step 8, which is getting you settled into your new home. Does that sound good so far?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, great. So let's start back with step 1, which, if you remember, is understanding the current market conditions. And I have a few graphs that I want to show you to kind of give you an idea of what's happening in Palm Beach County. Now, this is a graph that shows you absolutely everything that was on the market last month in Palm Beach County. And you can see that it's just about 10,000, about 9,900 homes on the market. Now, here's some good news. You can see that the inventory is actually decreasing. So there's not as many homes on the market as there was the month before and the month before. So that's actually really good news. Not as much competition out there right now. Now, here's what's actually sold. You can see down here that about 900 of the homes have actually sold. Is that what that number says?
1,033.
Yeah, 1,033, so just over 1,000. So that's going to be about 10%. So here's the news. 10% of all of the homes that are on the market have actually sold last month. And you can see that that's pretty much remained consistent. So 9,900 on the market, just over 1,000 sold, 10%. And it's my job to make sure that you are in that 10% so that we can get you to North Carolina. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, this is all of Palm Beach County. Let's take a closer look of your neck of the woods. Let's include some other areas. Now, you're in Winston Trails, so I also want to look over in the Lake Charleston area, perhaps pull in some Smith Farm, because I know when a buyer looks at your home, they're going to be looking at these surrounding areas as well. So this is kind of a little bit closer of a picture of what was on the market last month, and you'll see that that was 156 homes.
Oh, that's a lot more encouraging than 10,000.
It is,
Yes.
except for there's a little bit of a different story that the month before it was actually 148. So the inventory did go up a little bit from month to month and, here as opposed to compared to the whole county. Now, here's what's very interesting. 17 homes sold around here, just in your area, in 1 month last month. So that's actually encouraging. And look, it's the same 10%.
Okay.
So the story is that we need to make sure that you're going to be priced in that 10%.
Right.
So the next question is, okay, what is that 10%?
Right.
So in that case, we would bring us to step number 2, which is kind of doing an appraisal or establishing the value of your home. And when we do that, we really just want to take a close look at your neighborhood and what's for sale in here.
Great.
So we pulled up everything in Winston Trails. And I will tell you that there are 38 homes total in Winston Trail.
Wow.
That might sound like a lot, but I want you to know, Patty, that there was a year ago that I was in here and it was 101 homes.
Oh my goodness.
So 38 is not a bad inventory.
Okay.
However,
It just seems like a lot.
It does it? Well, you know,
Yeah.
there's 1,800 homes in here.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
The question is, out of the 38, who is in competition with you? Because they're not all going to be. Some of them are much larger than you. Just to cap on what you are, you're about 2,400 square feet under air. Does that sound right? You're the
Yep.
Silverado model. I think I have your floor plan in here that we're going to come across. But you're the Silverado model, about 2,400 square feet. And so some of them, as you know, in the back are 3,000 square feet with the big 3-car garages, and those aren't your competition. And then some of them are actually much smaller with the 1-car garages. Again, not your competition. We really want to compare apples to apples. So out of the 38, I did a little more research to say, okay, who is your competition? And the first one that I came up with is over here on Muirfield Village Circle. And you can see that this Venice model, even though it's not the same builder as you, is very similar in square footage. 2372 under air.
Yeah.
So this is a competing home on the market. Just like you, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. They are not on the lake, and you
Okay.
are, and they don't have a pool. And they're on the market for $275. Now, they've been on the market for about just under 2 months, going on 2 months. So that's definitely one of the ones that we're gonna wanna look at, okay? Here's another one. Now, this one kinda jumped up a little bit. Here's that same Venice model for $325.
Oh, that's better.
But this one has no pool and no water as well, and has been on the market very quickly, just about
Okay.
10 or 11 days.
Great.
Okay? That is a big difference, would you agree?
It is,
Sure.
yes. Yeah, why do you think there's such a difference?
You know, people can ask what they wanna ask. I mean, we could really turn around tomorrow, Patty, and America's a great country. You could put this on the market for $800,000 and be within every one of your rights to do so. So we just wanna make sure that we're guiding you to do the right thing to
Okay.
get your goals canceled.
That sounds.
Here's another one, 330,000. Again, it has a pool, so that's the first one that we've come across that has a pool. Same square footage as you, different model, but the same square footage, does have a pool, no lake. And that one's asking $330. So those were the 3 competing sales that I found that we really wanted to look at.
Okay.
Now, that's what people are asking, and we just discussed that you could ask whatever you want. So we want to start to figure out what are buyers willing to pay. So I was able to find a few that actually are under contract. So this is different because they're no longer available for a buyer to see. But they haven't closed yet. So we don't know exactly what the sellers have settled for until it closes. But it's still going to begin to tell us a story. You know, what were the buyers looking for that actually made them step up and say, okay, I'm willing to make an offer here, and start that negotiation process. So this is really important to look at. And here's the first one, and again, it's that same Venice model, 2372 under air, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, just like us. No water, no pool, so this is a pretty good comparable sale. And look, they were on the market at $265, and they did receive a contract within 3 months.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
so they weren't on the market with, you know, sometimes you see them 300 days.
Right, exactly.
So, something about this home pulled them in, okay? And it was the price, and of course, you know, the 4-bedroom, which you have, is awesome. Okay, here's another one that I really, you can see I've started and highlighted a whole bunch of stuff here, because I really think it's apples to apples. Here is one that's pending contract, so again, it's off the market, hasn't closed yet. $275 is what they were asking. It is on the water, just like you. 2346 under air, very similar in square footage. No pool. And look at how many days it sold.
That's great.
Yeah, 11
That's great.
days. So
And I see that this is your name, so is this your listing?
it is actually my listing.
Oh, that's
so.
great, Jackie.
Yeah, let's
11
compare
days.
those 190 days to the 11
Exactly,
days.
boy, that's great, that's great.
Now, again, it doesn't mean that they haven't, that they are being asked to leave their house in 11 days. It could be a closing date that's scheduled for 3 to 4 months out, or 2
Okay.
months out, or
Sure.
whatever. But 11 days is what it took to get it under contract. These sellers are now secure with the contract, not being, you know, bothered with all of the showings and the open houses and everything. Okay, so now let's go one step further in establishing the value of your home. and look at some sold properties.
Okay.
Because now we'll see the whole story.
Right.
Because again, we can ask what we want, we don't see that whole story with the pending contracts, but the solds are gonna tell us what a buyer actually paid for the house.
Right.
And when we look for solds, we don't look 6 or 7 months back because that's a different story. We really wanna know what has recently closed 30, 60, 90 days ago, because it's very important to get current information to you.
Right.
And buyers also, when they go to make an offer on any property, are looking at the same information. So we want to study it before them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so here's one that just closed not long ago. Let me just show you the actual closing date.
Here.
Yep, so April 18th,
Mhm.
so it's a pretty quick closing,
Yep.
not too long ago. Now, this is interesting, because they originally had the property on the market for $275. And it wasn't selling. In fact, it was on the market for more than 230 days.
Wow.
Wow.
So the seller made a decision to price it a little, to adjust that price to $235, and it immediately went under contract. Okay, so here's the same model, that Venice model, very similar in square footage, did not have a pool, and now this one did not have a lake. So you have a lake, this one did not. Okay? So $235 is what that was on the market for, and you can see that the seller settled for $225. There's not a big price difference between
Right.
the two.
Right.
All right? So here's another one that was on the market for $237, and this one is actually a 2-story home, but it's very comparable to yours because it is the same square footage. It's the same 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, did not have a pool, was not on a lake, and this one sold in 90 days for $237. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of a theme here, $225, $237.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's another one, and this one is a little bit higher. They sold for $290,000.
Oh, that's better, isn't it?
So let's just look to see why this one brought in a little bit more money. The first thing is that it does have a 2.5 car garage, so that's a little bit of a difference. It was on the lake and it did have a pool. Very similar in square footage to you, however, and it also was on the golf course. So, you know, some of the views here of the big green being built.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is gonna really help us, you guys, because even though we're not on a golf course and we don't have a pool, there was somebody in here that pulled over that 250 almost up to that 300 mark.
Right.
So thanks to these people.
Yep, that's good.
All right, one other one I have to show you. This one sold for a $327,000.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
great.
that one
That's great.
surprised me a little bit.
That's great.
It's a Venice model. It does have a pool. It is on the lake. It says here that it has views of the long lake, so it's one of the bigger lakes. And then they had just finished redoing their kitchen
Okay.
with some wine racks and stuff like that. But that's a nice sale to
Yeah,
compare
that's
us
great.
to.
That, I'm really pleased to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing to share with you, and that is what didn't a buyer want to buy? So there was a house or two that was on the market in here that ran the course of the listing and then just kind of went into an expired status because the market for some reason rejected it. So we want to learn by that because we're not going to have this ugly word expired on us. So we looked at something here that was $275 on the market. Now here's something interesting because it has a gorgeous pool with a spa and it is on the water. So I wanted to know, you know, why didn't it sell for $275? Look how many days it was on the market, almost a year. Now, we don't know what the inside of the house looks like, so perhaps there is a story there, but it's made me look at this price and say, okay, I don't want this to be you.
Right.
All right, so, again, we don't know what the inside. Now, here's another thing. You see how it says waterfront here? But when I did a little research, I learned that it wasn't a lake. It was actually a canal.
Yeah, so that's different.
Yeah, so figure it was on a pool and perhaps the canal didn't look so great right now because of the drought situation. I don't know, but for some reason this was worth looking at.
Wow.
Didn't sell. Okay, so that was step 2, kind of presenting a market analysis to you, and I guess with your permission, we're going to roll right into step 3, which is helping you establish the price on your property. and calculate what your bottom line is gonna be.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna make a suggestion as to where I think we should go and go over what your expenses are. So give me a few seconds here.